Hey guys, welcome back to another F1 23 video. The My Team Career Mode journey for Cross GT Racing continues. Just coming off a pretty poor performance at the Mexico Grand Prix. If you didn't see the last episode, a massive step backwards for us in terms of where we have been sitting. We've been consistently in the points, pushing close to those front running teams now. We've got a really good car, but for some reason we just couldn't bring it together in the previous race. Qualifying went really poorly. We didn't. We were qualified, I think, P14. Weren't even in the top 10. And then the race was just. We were just fighting to survive, really. No speed really to be had in this. I was playing around with the settings for the car. There's a lot of technical aspects to the track, so we were focusing a lot on handling, but we lost out on top speed, which ended up being, I guess, our big downfall in the end, with a P16 finish, way outside of the points and where we normally finish. The car's not bad. We just got the setup completely wrong for the last race, and it just really had a really poor effect on the car, on our result for the weekend. It was really just a race to forget. So no points for us in the previous round. We are still sitting, I think, P8 in the drivers, and in the constructors, I'm pretty sure we're still sitting P5, I think it is. Still battling with Aston Martin, but we've got a pretty clear-cut lead over them at this point. 3 races left in the season. And George Russell did win the previous race as well. So the battle at the top, still pretty tight between Russell, his teammate Lewis Hamilton, and Max Verstappen in the Red Bull as well. But we're focusing on us and maintaining that P5 position in the constructors. We are now going to be applying a bunch of new components to the car. I did try to run some of the other components. We had a little bit longer than I should have. I should have changed them last race, but I wanted to keep them, most of them, in as good a condition as we could, so that we have a really good shot at the last 3 races as we are getting ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's a sprint race weekend, so we will have the sprint race to complete before we head on to the main Grand Prix. So it should be pretty interesting. A lot of points to be had at a track that I actually really enjoy racing. I'm quite familiar with, and I think it's going to be really well suited for our car. Practice went really well. Car handled really, really well. I think we've nailed the setup for this race. So definitely looking forward to what we can do on track as we get ready for qualifying. But before we do that, we do have an excess of resource points. We have, I think, saved all of our components that are going to be affected by regulation changes next season. So looking to put some of those points into some other upgrades, because we will have time to save them as well if we can get them on the car fast enough. So a little bit of a gamble there, but we're going to take it anyway. We've saved the majority of our components. Well, actually, no, we were only doing powertrain and durability, which aren't affected by the regulation changes. It's only the chassis and aero parts, so we don't have to worry about saving them. We can put some more points into those areas and not worry about losing out next season. As we've jumped into qualifying, so a little bit wide at that long left-hander there at the end of the first DRS straight, but car's still handling pretty well. We're just pushing the car, just try and get as much out of it as we can. It is going to affect our time a little bit, but still very, very tidy lap as we cross the start-finish line, and it's good enough for P6 at this point. So we're going to head out for a second lap, and straight away already ahead of our previous time, a few tenths up. We do go wide again, but that's not going to affect us too much because we went wide that first lap as well, so we don't lose any time there. In fact, we're still gaining time. A little bit of a slide there with the back end kicking out a little bit, but we are able to hold quite a lot of speed through that sector 2, which is it was our strongest point through practice as well. So big improvement this lap, almost a second and a half up on the first lap. So any mistakes we made in that first lap rectified pretty well, and it's good enough for P1 at this point. Qualifying 1 completed. We finished P1 ahead of George Russell, who I believe is currently leading the Drivers' Championship, just under 3/10 faster than him, and then the rest of the top 10 only what looks like 2.5 tenths separating P2 from P10, so pretty close pack at the moment. Let's see if we can put it together in Q2. We didn't hit the apex there very well, but we managed to get the car on the track this time, which will help with getting a better time for this qualifying session into the winding sector 2, the part of the track that I probably enjoy the most. Outright speed, we're pretty good compared to the other cars, but it's through here that we really have the big advantage. We can carry a bit more speed through some of these corners. I've noticed when I was doing qualifying Q1, and also when we were going through the practice sessions as well, the AI are not able to maintain the speed through there so much. Or the glare from the sun there throw me off a little bit. Kind of hard to see the track at that point, but that's okay. We still managed to hold on, and it's good enough again for another P1 in Q2. We only did the 1 lap that time. It was good enough to get us through. We were well ahead, I think, when we did that time, and then the 2 Mercedes ended up racing past us. George Russell only marginally beat us, only 100th of a second in it, but Lewis Hamilton 4.5 tenths clear up in front, so definitely putting the pressure on his teammate. I'm pretty sure it's still anyone's championship really between the two of those guys. Max Verstappen as well, I think he's sitting P2, Hamilton P3 in the championship, but there's still, with 3 races left, there's not that many points between them that it couldn't go any way between those top 3 there. As we come around to the final sector of our first lap here in Q3, another very tidy lap. Verstappen's time of 1:12.7 is only good enough for P6, so it's still pretty quick pack, but we managed to improve yet again, a 1:11.6. I think that's 4 tenths faster than our Q1 time, and it ends up being good enough for us to qualify pole for the sprint race. Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri and Carlos Sainz all outperforming the McLarens, the Mercedes, not McLarens, the Mercedes in Q3. So George Russell in P5 for the sprint race. But obviously you can't count out George Russell, even from P5 on the grid. He's still a demon on the track this season, as we are off and away for the sprint race. A good start from us. We managed to hold off Leclerc heading into turn 1. He goes up the inside, and we stay wide to try and get around. We go back. We did have to cut that corner a little bit, went off the track there. Leclerc did give us the space and did give us the position back, heading onto the grass a little bit there, to not really focusing on where we were going, more focusing on sort of how far behind Leclerc was. But we did cut him off a little bit. It did slow him down, so he's now a few tenths behind us. We've got a little bit of a cushion there ahead of him. So good start from us heading into sector 2 now, which is where we have proven that we are probably the strongest racers through this sector, based on qualifying times and performance in the practice as well. But it's all going to come down to how well we can hold on to it once we get through there. But it looks like there's a bit of a, I'm not going to say a hold up, but looks like the AI have gone pretty slow through there. We've managed to pull out over a second lead already. Probably didn't help the sector 1 or the turn 2 incident that we had where we cut off Leclerc, and that has slowed him down quite a bit. Being followed closely behind by his teammate Carlos Sainz, but we've held on to the lead, and we've held on to that gap as well. 1.2 seconds as we go through sector 1, heading around into sector 2 now, and we're slowly pulling away even more. So now that we're out in open air and clean air, just proving how good our car really is at this point. We do have newer components put into the car. A lot of the other teams probably running some older, some more worn components, so we're at a little bit of an advantage there. We did have to take quite a big risk using those older parts in the previous round, which I'm sure a lot of other teams probably switched components. There's enough of the components that you can get through 4 races before they really start to have a huge effect on the car, on your performance. So I tried to push it out a little bit extra on some of those parts, use some of the older ones in the last round, just so we had the, I guess, the advantage in terms of engine performance or power unit performance in these last few races. And we're seeing it right here as we're already halfway through the sprint race, and we are still well clear of Leclerc in second place. Not a very good run through those first couple of corners there, but we're still over a second ahead. All we need to do is maintain this pace, and it'll be an easy sprint race win, maximum points from the sprint race, and pole position for the main Grand Prix. But there's still a little bit of work to do, a little bit of squabbling and fighting in the places behind us. Sainz and Leclerc battling each other, slowing each other down. We're now about 2 seconds ahead of Leclerc, thanks to their battling back there. Norris is holding on to P4. George Russell still back in P5, obviously having some trouble getting through the pack there. But it's definitely looking good for us as we're just going through the motions at this point, just trying to hit our apexes, hit those lines. Back end kicks out a little bit at that hairpin right there. Pretty much every single time I go there, just a little heavy-footed there. Well, I say heavy-footed, you don't use your feet for the throttle in F1, I don't think. But maybe you do. I don't know how Formula 1 cars all set up. But yeah, every time we get there, we sort of spin a little bit, probably a little bit too eager to go on the power as we misjudge and undercorrect on that corner. Then we go off onto the grass in the second to last lap and a big slide heading into sector 3. And now our 2-second advantage that we had only a couple of laps ago has dropped down to only 7/10. So now Leclerc, as we go a little bit too tight on that corner, cut the corner a little bit there. Leclerc now in DRS range, and what should have been a foregone conclusion and a really easy win in the sprint race is now going to turn into a final lap battle, as Leclerc is going to have DRS and he is gaining on us very quickly. But we managed to stay ahead 2/10 now, from 2 seconds down to 2/10 of a second, and we are just going to try and hold on. Another big slide there. Not what I wanted, but what I've been getting all race. And Leclerc is looking, he's right alongside us now. Luckily for us, we do have the inside line heading into that right-hander. We managed to get around in front of him, and we've only got a little part of the track left. Only got sector 3 left. And we managed to hold on. Leclerc now 8/10. He's now a second back. We did cut him off a little bit heading into that left-hander at the bottom of the hill, but we do manage to hold on just, and we take the sprint race win. So first win of our career. It is in the sprint race, so it doesn't really count too much for us, but still 8 points coming our way, which is definitely going to help in that constructors title race. It's going to help us keep Aston Martin at bay just a little bit more, as Fernando Alonso just finishing outside the points, P9 that time around. Lance Stroll back in P14. So we managed to gain 8 points over Aston Martin in the constructors thanks to that sprint race win.
Welcome along then to where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the very final corner. And just 1 year later, Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's time then for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the two DRS zones will be key to any overtaking prospects today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. The captain lines up on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Gasly, Albon, Stroll, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Joe, Magnussen, Sargent, De Vries, Ocon, Bottas, Boschung, and Oscar Piastri. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Anthony Davidson joins me again for today's race. So, let's briefly discuss Lewis Hamilton. They need second or better to ensure they stay in contention for the title. Anything outside of that, well, their fate is no longer in their hands.
And they can do it for sure, as long as they don't dwell too much on the position. At the end of the day, there's only one way to go racing, and that's to give it everything you've got. Either your best is good enough to stay in the hunt, or it's not. There's no point giving any less than 100%.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Don't worry, mate. Got the win in the sprint race. We're starting pole position. I feel like we're going for a pretty good result here today. Hards to mediums, the strategy we're going for. If we can keep everyone behind us on the hards and we change to the mediums, then we should have the pace advantage over most of the pack. It looks like a bunch of them are starting on mediums or softs. The two Ferraris behind us, Leclerc and Sainz, both starting on the hards with us as we are off and away here in Brazil for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. A great start from us heading into turn one. No one alongside us, but not a very good start from Leclerc, who immediately drops a position to his teammate Carlos Sainz. And he's now 9 tenths behind us. Sainz hanging with us only 2 tenths. He's right on our tail. Hopefully we can get away from him heading into Sector 2. We go wide through that left-hander there. We managed to hold on to our position. Sainz still right behind us though. Just digging into that slipstream. Oh, a little bit squealy there heading into that right-hander. This time it wasn't just a slide one way. We tried to correct and we went all over the place. But as we go back and take a look at the replay off the start, Leclerc, not a very good start there from Leclerc, and Sainz immediately overtakes him. Leclerc kind of gets caught behind Sainz and alongside Norris there, and that little battle pushed him a little bit wide, missed the apex, and he ended up losing quite a bit of time there. But that's no problem for us. But it is a big problem for him now as Norris looks to go up the inside heading into turn one. And he makes quick work of Leclerc there. Not very hard at all for the McLaren to get past the Ferrari there. So a big move there. He is on the softs, so it was always going to be easy for him to overtake in a straight line there. But Sainz still sitting P2. We have gained quite a bit of time to him through Sector 2 there. Purple through Sector 1 and Sector 2 this lap. So definitely setting the pace for the rest of the pack. Sainz over a second behind us. We've pulled away from him enough that he couldn't get DRS through Sector 3 there, I don't think. But it's all about trying to maintain that pace and keeping him at arm's length. Norris looking to make a move on Sainz here. He's got DRS, Sainz doesn't, so Norris has a huge advantage with DRS and the soft tyre. He tries to go on the outside, it doesn't quite work, but he's definitely putting the pressure on Sainz there, which is good for us because it's going to slow down Sainz and keep him away from us. And then all we have to do is try and stay ahead of the rest of them before we head into the pits to go into mediums. It's going to be a pretty tall order. There is going to be that crossover point where our tyres will be better than their tyres for anyone that isn't on hards, but it's about getting to that point and making sure we don't lose too much time up to that point. But still doing pretty well. Sainz a second and a half behind us now with that battle with Norris still going on. But Norris is right behind him. He's got DRS, he's got the pace, and he makes quick work of Sainz there on that DRS straight. And he's now got us in his sights. Norris looking for, at this point, his very first win in Formula One. He, of course, won the Miami Grand Prix not that long ago. So he's hungry for that win here in the world of virtual Formula One. Bit of a slide there heading into that left-hander, and that has caused massive problems for us, as Norris is now well within reach of making an overtake on us. We did have a really good lead before, over a second to second place, and now it's only a few tenths. Still a second to Sainz though, so the tyre compound difference is definitely playing into Norris's favour here. He is keeping that gap nice and small between us, and he's going to have DRS on this next straight, so it's going to be pretty tough to keep him at bay. Not opting to use the overtake at this point. It's only early on in the race, and we are 8 tenths ahead, so we might be able to keep him away from us before we get down to turn 1. But Lando Norris does get the fastest lap there, which I'm pretty sure was the same as our fastest lap. So a little bit of it's a little bit disheartening there, knowing that I think he got the same time as us and they've given him the fastest lap. But that's okay. We are sitting P1, so we're just going to try and hold on to this position and take maximum points in terms of position, at least this race, if we can hold on to it. We're a few laps in, lap 5. Oh, not really focusing there. I was too busy looking at the time and seeing how far away Norris was, and we almost went into the wall. But Norris making very easy work of us there. He passed us before the start-finish line, thanks to that DRS and the soft compound tyre, and he ends up taking P1 away from us. But we're going to sit in behind, take advantage of that slipstream, and just as he's overtaken us, we now have an issue with the DRS, where I think it's gonna play into I guess his into his hand a little bit more than ours. But we've just got to make sure that we capitalise here through sector 2. This windy sector, definitely, as I said earlier, definitely our strong point. We can hold a lot more speed through these corners than the AI can. So even with Norris's soft compound tyres, we should be able to give him a good little battle. A couple of mistakes there though, the pressure kind of getting to us, and Norris is now pulling away. But those tyres are going to wear out sooner than ours, as we use the ERS to try and keep up with him. We're closing that gap a bit, so his tyres are starting to wear out now. It looks like we're getting close to that crossover point where our tyres will be better than his, and we are maintaining a decent gap to him. Second and a half to Sainz, so it's really just a 2-car race at this point, as we are about a third of the way through the race now, 8 laps down, 17 left to go, and we're just going to sit tight, follow Norris, and have him tow us along a bit until we get a really good chance to overtake him, which by the looks of things is going to be sooner rather than later. We're a lot closer to him this time in that straight than we were the last time around, and we are sitting right behind him now, not making any sort of, I guess, sudden moves, although he does brake very aggressively there, and we go flying around the outside, and that was a somewhat easy overtake. But he's fighting back, tries to go around the outside that time. We hold him off, He's still the Natix. He tucks in behind us now, and we have managed to take back P1. Although he's got the DRS, we're not even going to fight that. I gave him the room. I let him go past because I knew we weren't going to be able to stop him. There was too much of a run between us and turn 1 for us to do anything to defend that. So just let him go, and then tuck in behind again. We've got DRS, so we're going to be able to keep up with him heading into this turn. He goes very heavy on the brakes again, braking very early. 10 laps, or lap 10 now as well, so those tyres must be pretty worn by now. So maybe just a lack of confidence in those tyres, or maybe he just needs to brake a bit earlier because the tyres aren't responding as well. So we look up the inside, oh, big slide. Very aggressive move there to try and get the overtake, and it just didn't pay off for us that time. Pit window is now open for us. Norris is still on that soft tyre, so he must either have some really good durability upgrades for tyre wear, or that would be chassis upgrades for tyre wear. Sorry, not durability. But he must have either some really good tyre wear upgrades, or he's just really pushing those tyres. Maybe he's trying to stretch the stint out so he can go into mediums as well. But our pit window is open, and we're trying to go around the outside of Norris there, but it doesn't quite work. Take a look up the inside for the next corner, but we're too far back. Another slide, heavy on the brakes and a bit too eager on the accelerator to really make a good move there. We've lost quite a bit of time to him. Sainz and Leclerc also catching up, both within DRS range of us now. So the Ferraris are starting to make moves as well. The hard tyres definitely where it's at the moment. Norris pulls into the pit lane. We go back into P1 for now. Leclerc's also going into the pits. So interesting to see what tyre they go for and where they come out from here. Based on Norris's stint, I would assume he's going to go into the mediums. 11 laps in the softs, he could do 14 on the mediums. Sainz makes pretty quick work of us there, but he only just managed to get past us, so he's only just in front of us. And no real resistance there from us, just let him go. We've still got at least half the race left to go, just over half the race left. And we've been doing pretty well. Another slide there. So the tyres are definitely wearing out a bit, in the mid-20s now. So not too bad, but definitely not ideal. But we're going to hold on a little bit longer here. Sainz heading into the pits. We're going to have some open air here, as Perez is the next one back. Russell's into the pits as well. No, Perez into the pits. Gasly is staying out. So Gasly on the softs. He's gone 12 laps. He's going to go 13th lap here. Unless he went in earlier, but I doubt it if he's up in P2. We're going to head into the pits at the end of this lap. Try and get a really good lap time here, just so that we can stretch out the performance of the medium tyre. Well, not stretch it out, but sort of like lower the amount of time we need on that tyre. Pretty untidy entrance into the pit lane. Luckily no damage there. I think we just had to clip the wall with the tyre, which is going to be changed anyway, so not too bad. As we come in to the pits onto the medium tyre, a little bit slow on that left front tyre there, but we managed to come out in P5 onto mediums. It looks like everyone's on the mediums now, so anyone that was on the hards, probably not at a very probably as well off as the others that were on the softs that managed to hold on to the performance of the car there. For like Norris, for example, who managed to stretch the soft tyre out for 11 laps before going on to, I would assume, the mediums as well. But still P5, and we've got 1 or even 2 lap fresher tyres for the likes of Russell and Sainz, who both went in a lap ahead of us. And then you've got Leclerc and Norris, who went in 2 laps earlier. So they may be up to speed or up to temperature now, but they're going to wear out a little bit earlier than ours. So hopefully at the end of the last part of the race, we should have the performance advantage over them there. We went purple through sector 2 and 3 there. George Russell claiming the fastest lap. We could have had the fastest lap there, but we were coming out of the pit lane, so our sector 1 is obviously very slow coming out of pit lane. But purple through sector 2 and sector 3, definitely a good sign for us as we try to go around the outside of Russell here. And we managed to do so. We squeezed him just enough that he had to slow down so that he didn't hit us. We did give him plenty of space, and it was his corner, so he really could have tried to push a bit harder to keep us out. But at the end of the day, he's currently leading the championship. So, and it's only a very fine margin between him and Verstappen, so probably doesn't want to jeopardize that at all. So just playing it safe, giving us the position. We do get the fastest lap from that lap there, a 1:12.9, so pretty decent lap. And we are making some good progress on Leclerc now. We're in P4, Leclerc, Sainz and Norris ahead of us. The two Ferraris kind of falling back a little bit from Norris. McLaren have done a pretty good job setting up the car this weekend. But we are currently focused on the two red Ferraris ahead of us. I don't know why I specified that they're red, because they always are. But the two Ferraris ahead of us, we try to go around the outside of Leclerc there. We managed to do so. He's still there. He's still on the inside. We go wide, give him the space, knowing it's going to be the inside for us in the next corner. And we managed to make the move stick reasonably easily there. Not too much pressure on us at that point. Purple through sector 1, and we are now putting the pressure on Sainz through sector 2, and we're still sitting pretty good. Norris is well ahead though, 1.3 seconds. Sainz braking very early and we brake very late. Huge dive bomb into the left-hander off the DRS straight, and we managed to make the move stick, and we are now P2, and it's just us and Norris now. The two Ferraris are obviously still behind us, and George Russell behind them, but we've managed to pass all of them, and we are pulling away from them now quite easily. A second between us and Sainz now. We've managed to close the gap to Norris. He's now only a few tenths ahead of us, and we're going to have DRS here down the back straight. Purple through sector 2. We're almost at the same sort of pace as we were in our fastest lap, a 1:13.0. So we're only a tenth off our fastest lap, and that was what, 2-3 laps ago now. So we're definitely maintaining that pace. We look to go up the inside of Norris, and we do a very good job there of making the pass where we made that really late dive bomb on Sainz only a lap earlier. And we are now back in the lead on slightly fresher tyres with I dare say, slightly better setup and maybe even better or less worn components in our power unit. So everything is going in our favour at this point. All we've got to do is hold on to our position, not make any mistakes, and we could be on for our very first win in F1 23 here in Season 1. Round 14 of Season 1 in Brazil could be the place where we make history with our first win. And looks like it's going to be a little bit easier than I was anticipating through that last lap, as Norris and Sainz battled a little bit there in I think it was in the start of sector 2. And they've slowed each other down so much and backed up the rest of the pack a little bit, or the rest of the front pack, that we're now a second and a half ahead of Norris. All we've got to do is try and hold on to this pace. 5 laps left to go in this race. We just did a 1:13.9, so a second off our fastest lap time. We are starting to slow down a bit. We're losing that pace. 1:14.3, or I think it was a 1:14.5 the lap before. And there's a 1:15.3 there, so tyres are definitely wearing out. But we are holding on. We're still a second 1.5 ahead, or 1.3 seconds ahead, heading into the final lap. And it's all on us. All we've got to do is try and keep it together for this last lap. Not very good through Sector 1. We've lost a bit of time to Norris. We are using the ERS to try and keep him out of DRS range into Sector 2, which has been our strongest point all weekend. Only got 3 corners left, and we go a little bit wide heading into the left-hander. We managed to hold on. We've lost a little bit of time to Sainz there, but we've managed to hold on. I don't think it's going to be enough for him to catch up now. Down the final part of the track to take the checkered flag here in Brazil and take our very first win in our career here on F123.
Ah, fantastic drive. That's just fantastic. Amazing. You deserved that race win. Well done, mate.
A nearly flawless performance here then, and a commanding victory. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula One.
And there we have it, guys. Our very first win in F123, and it came at the end of Season 1. I wasn't expecting to be able to pick up a win this early on in the career, but everything just sort of fell into place this weekend. We had a really good setup. We did take a bit of a gamble keeping the old components on in the last round, which I think was the key to our win this weekend, putting those fresher components on for this race rather than the previous one. And then just the setup and the way that it worked through, especially through Sector 2. I keep going on about Sector 2, but that sector there was definitely what made our race today. We didn't have a huge pace advantage over anyone. It was just the fact that we could handle the car through Sector 2 better than the AI could for this race that managed to get us the win. So we come away with maximum points this weekend, a sprint race win, a Grand Prix win, and a fastest lap. And that propels us to P6 in the driver's standings, but it's all about the top 3 at this point. George Russell managing to gain a few points on Max Verstappen. It's only 11 points between the two of them with 2 races left. Anyone's championship at this point. Lewis Hamilton is still in it as well. He's only 25 points behind, so it's still a 3-horse race at this point. And as we take a look at the constructors, I think unless everything goes horribly wrong for us and everything goes perfect for Aston Martin, I think we may have claimed P5 in the Constructors' Championship at this point. Never say never though. They could come back with some massive results in the final 2 races. But I'm pretty happy with where we're at now, and I think that's going to be a good result for us at the end of the season. Either way, we're going to get P5 or P6. That's guaranteed at this point. Hopefully it's P5, but just a huge race weekend for us this weekend. Brazil definitely moves up the list on my favourite tracks in Formula One, thanks to us being able to get that win here today. But also helped by the fact that the 2 Ferrari drivers sort of battling each other a little bit at key points in that race, which slowed them down and also slowed down the drivers behind them. So a bunch of factors that came into play to help us with the win today, but we're going to take it. Very first win in F1 23, and it couldn't come at a more critical time, right at the end of the season, or close to the end of the season, when every point matters when you're looking at potential prize money from the Constructors' Championship. So really happy with the performance this weekend. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, let me know in the comments what you thought, If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. It would really help me out a lot. And hopefully we can get another really good result in the next race. Not holding out for another win, but if we can definitely get some extra points or a really good result next race, just cement our P5 position in the Constructors. But we'll have to wait and see. Las Vegas Grand Prix next. The first time driving that track, so that'll be an interesting one. But hopefully it'll be a good race for us. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all in the next one.